and 1. So side government fails at the point in which they seem to equate the process of merging with the process of integration with the actual outcome that happens when these companies merge. Those are three very different and very distinct things, and at no point was their case ever nuanced to that particular characterization, especially of the types of businesses who want to monopolize to begin with. Because if this policy was done tomorrow, do you know who will potentially invest into sustainable technology that happens, right? And it's important. It's probably going to be companies like ExxonMobil, Nestle, and Shell. Now, average reasonable person suggests that these companies are probably one of the most anti-environment companies to ever exist in the history of this planet. So they're the ones that are actually large enough to have the incentive and capacity to be able to merge in the first place. Why is this important? 1, it just further bolsters Joseph's frame in saying that the only people who will actually benefit from this particular policy are the type of companies malevolent enough to actually try to monopolize their own industries. But B, this is far more important than actually discerning the real problem. Because maybe the problem isn't that antitrust regulation is wrong, but maybe the way in which it is set up is wrong. So it's less about changing the policy to incentivize potentially bad people, but more so changing the way in which it is implemented to aid the definitely good people. A lot of response towards both speakers from side government. 1, the first response is on government's entire frame, because it's quite sneaky, right? PM sets up this debate by conceding that obviously antitrust measures are still going to be present, and it's not like all antitrust measures will be taken away. This is basically their one-line silver bullet that allows them to be very glib about the valid argument coming from Joseph. 2 responses. 1, they make their case very weak because they can't seem to accept that particular trade-off. Like very intuitively, it's not the government either being competent or incompetent, but the government limiting the amount of antitrust practices it can do. So bad companies on their side have a significantly easier time if they just hide all of their malicious practices and give money to the environment. This is not something that government can skirt their way out of, right? That's the burden that they literally have to deal with. And they can't just say, oh, we can still go up their benefits when the extent of stopping at least like even one antitrust is in and of itself a large difference. 2, I don't think PM understands how effective gaslighting is and greenwashing is when it is done by powerful multinational companies. You know, the other motion in the other set, right? The one about placing the burden of our environment on each person was a literal marketing tactic by an oil company. So it's not just a matter of literally making it easier for companies to happen or for monopolies to happen. You literally change the narrative about how these monopolies get into power and to justify their practices by saying, hey, you know, they invest heavily into green tech. They're not that bad. 2, the win condition on Gov thus far are very soft stances which are all over the place. Is the problem that people don't have the opportunities to help the environment? Is it people who are apathetic? A lot of these are secondary to the main burden, which is to explain what mergers are and how they happen. Yes, everyone is affected by the environment, but that doesn't mean that all corporations should be equally involved precisely because there are some industries and corporations that cause these problems in the first place. 3rd, on the idea of sustainability supporters from DPM, if you allow mergers to happen, you weaken the stance of these environmental groups and businesses. They can't have their cake and eat it too, and they literally have to make a trade-off. If you loosen these requirements, these are going to have adverse consequences which they themselves have to deal with. Lastly, on the idea of profit incentives, these exist on a spectrum. Some are driven more than others. That's exactly what Joseph said, of which we heard little to no response coming from the immediate speaker. PM, when they say that, oh, they are actually competent and care about the environment, these are the very people who shouldn't be able to merge and buy their way out of these negative perceptions to begin with, because they're literally the environment. Before the extension go.
Okay, so basically what you want to do is stricter regulations, right? How do you guarantee that companies are going to fall under that criterion, or even that these companies are still going to be basically doing the same things that we want to do in our world?
No, man. Like, since we have the fiat and this is a policy motion, right? On our counterfactual, we are going to take a very bold stance to say we want to further proliferate and reinforce the antitrust regulation. So make it better, make it harder, and make it a lot stronger. And that is the better way. That's the counterfactual that we want to provide to you. Why is this true? The first mech that this is true is just on capacity for government agencies to have access and to have the right on publishing and getting this information in status quo. Maybe the problem isn't that companies need to be incentivized to stop killing the environment and hiding, but maybe the problem is we need to figure out smarter ways of ensuring that companies can't hide their environmental screw-ups. So our recommendation towards GovFiat is to instead use this particular policy and bolster antitrust measures, especially for the companies that deserve it. E.g., making it easier to obtain company records, making it easier to say no to these mergers and acquisitions, making the entire process itself a lot more difficult to manage, and for them to actually get a yes to that particular merger. Why is that better? Because on our side, green tech companies and technology do not need to be subservient to companies that either actively go against what they stand for or companies that literally have zero interest into making sure it prospers outside of a vast sum of cash that they can provide. The second mech that this is true is on environmental capacity of these technologies to survive and exist absent this particular funding. This is just to say, I want to question the delta of change that happens when these companies invest into green tech. Because both Gov speakers so far have a really hard time actually quantifying that change. What me and Joseph say is, if current technologies are already making green tech that is sustainable right now, they have every capacity to continue to do so. Why is leaving them alone a better comparative? Similarly to the reason of my first mech, you just have far more independence regarding funding to make the right type of choice for you as a green tech company. Because obviously, if ExxonMobil is now the direct stakeholder of you as a green tech company, they have every incentive to slow you down. And they continue with status quo because status quo makes them a lot of money. The third and last mechanism, and this is just going on to impacts now, is on the literal outcome of this policy, right? Like, let's please stop complicated. Strengthening these antitrust measures literally make it harder for these companies to harm the environment even further. You are literally less likely to have one monopoly, which kills competition. You are also more likely to call out bad actors when this is effective. All these things are something that is aligned with what PM himself wants. Because if urgency in this debate is about big companies harming the environment, it's just mathematically more effective if you lessen bad companies by sanctioning them. All of those reasons, very, very proud to oppose.